As a CEO, one of the duties is to transform the company and making it future-proof, but at the same time, to make sure you don't destroy the legacy that you have inherited.
Salut Jean-Pascal, it's great to see you. Thank you for joining, it's great to have you. You were CEO of Schneider Electric for 17 years. Tell me a bit more about Schneider Electric at that time. What was the company like?
We were a very different company at that time. We are 4 times smaller. We are almost all about Europe, and we are all about electrical products. So it was a very, very different company.
And how have things evolved since?
We remained a technology company, but today our technologies are focused on something much larger, but 2 priorities for our customers. One is digitalization, and the second is decarbonization. So it's all about smart and green. Smart and green buildings, smart and green manufacturing, data centers, smart and green cities. And this comes from the fact that over time, over those 17 years, we built very different portfolio, converging digital and clean energies to be the partners of our customers in being net zero.
The company has truly transformed and looks very different at this point in time. That's super interesting. The company did amazingly well during your tenure. As every CEO, I'm sure you had your ups and downs, your highs and lows, and your moments of truth. So tell us a little bit more about one of these moments of truth that really shaped the company and ultimately you as a leader.
If I go to one important moment, that was probably in the first 3 months. My first strategic decision was to make sure that we would transform profoundly the portfolio to deliver a completely different value to our customers. I was convinced, number one, that our customers needed much more than our electrical products and systems. And number two, that electrical products and systems could deliver much more value than what they were delivering. Energy efficiency, carbon reduction, the path to sustainability. But the mean to that end was and is digitalization. So then came a decision to make, because 3 months into the role, a company called APC, which was the most disruptive company in the sector, completely complementary to what we do, was coming for sale. And I had to make the decision, yes or no, you go for that acquisition. Big amount of money, and certainly not expected by our investors or any stakeholder that a young CEO, at the time 40, 3 months in the role, would move into such an operation.
And you put $6 billion on the table to go across the Atlantic and acquire APC. Now that sounds exciting. In hindsight, I'm sure you get celebrated for it, but how did it feel in that very moment?
I've never been personally very excited by acquisitions, but I was very convinced of what I had to do, that we needed to do it, to marry 20 years old startup garage in Boston, all designed for speed and agility, with Schneider, at that time, a company perceived as French, traditional, and founded in 1836. So the investors didn't see it. At that time, nobody had connected energy with data centers and AI. Nobody was saying it, so it was a very far-fetched strategy. It didn't go well at all, right? Stock tanked, we were destabilized, and it was an uphill battle to convince the markets and everybody that this was a good alliance.
And what did you do to win their hearts and minds?
Traveling from one place to the other one, starting to convince employees on both sides that it was a great thing for the future, and then, of course, going to see the investors and convincing them of the value that it would create. And there you feel very much alone, because, of course, you've got the support of the board and the support of, but you need really to convince people that it makes sense for the future.
So then later on during your CEO tenure, Schneider became known also to have a very global operating philosophy. Did that early acquisition also drive your belief in a global operating model and reality for you as CEO?
Yeah, very much so, because what Schneider brought to APC, which tended to be very American-centric, we brought really that culture of globalization and diversity, which allowed APC to become really a much more global company. And on the top of it, we brought the 2/3 of the technological offer that was connecting their offer to the grid through a completely digitized architecture. So certainly more ambition for technology, certainly thinking long-term also, and also an ambition beyond energy efficiency to energy transition and sustainability, which is now somewhere the marker of the company at large.
Now, you took that big bet in the first 6 months of your tenure. Did it make you more of a big bet CEO, or did you actually also learn to be more cautious because you saw how intense it was?
Look, I always believe that as a CEO, one of the duties is to transform the company and keep transforming it and making it future-proof. But at the same time, above any other sort of responsibility is to make sure you don't destroy the legacy that you have inherited. And that is in terms of market footprint, in terms of technological know-how, but more so in terms of culture,
yes,
or in terms of people. I'm not a fan of acquisitions. I'd rather empower existing people to do what they have to do. But one thing that we learn here is to make sure that we would combine those cultures and those people together to achieve something much bigger and much greater.
About a year ago, you handed over the CEO role to Peter Herweck, who is now in charge. You are the chairman. How do you look at Schneider Electric at this point and into the future?
Well, the teams have proven that Schneider is well positioned, right? When you think about the two pillars of our strategy, it's about electrification and it's about digitalization. And digital is more than 50% of what we do. And then you have electrification. So of course, electrification is pushed by technology. Add to that your car going electric in the next coming 10 years. Add to that your building, where the whole of HVAC, climate control is going from fossil fuel to electrical. The future is electric. So digital electric, this is what we are building. Teams are well positioned. We have a global presence with a very decentralized organization so that we can tailor our solution to everybody. Well, very excited by what we have in front of us.
Thank you for the inspiration. I'm sure people learned a lot from what you have shared. Fantastic to have you.
Thank you very much, Christoph.